Austrian conservatives bring far-right into government. Vienna, Reuters. Austria is set to become the only Western European country with a far-right party in government after the anti-immigration Freedom Party and Sebastian Kurz's Conservatives struck a coalition deal they plan to present on Saturday. Kurz, who is just 31, and Freedom Party, FPO, leader Heinz-Christian announced their deal on Friday night, handing the far-right a share of power for the third time in the Alpine Republic, after more than a decade in opposition. Sponsored. They said they would unveil details later on Saturday after meeting Austria's president and obtaining formal approval from their party leaderships. The FPO will take control of much of Austria's security apparatus as the deal puts it in charge of the foreign, interior and defense ministries, a spokesman for Kurz's People's Party, OVP, said. The OVP will control the finance ministry as well as the justice and agriculture portfolios. If everything goes as we imagine it will, nothing stands in the way of the future government being sworn in at the start of the coming week, President Alexander Van der Bellen, whose powers include appointing and dismissing governments, said after meeting Kurz and Stray on Saturday morning. Van der Bellen beat a far-right candidate in last year's close-fought presidential election with a pro-European platform. His defeated opponent, Norbert Hofer, will become infrastructure minister in the next government, the OVP spokesman said. Kurz will head the government as chancellor and the OVP will have 8 ministries including his office. The FPO will have 6, including Stray's office as vice-chancellor. Kurz has repeatedly said his government will be pro-European despite his pursuit of a tie-up with the Eurosceptic FPO. His office will take over some European departments from the Foreign Ministry to give him greater control over EU matters, a person close to the talks and a senior OVP official said. Austria's parliamentary election 2 months ago was dominated by Europe's migration crisis, in which the affluent country took in a large number of asylum seekers. Kurz's party won with a hardline on immigration that often overlaps with the FPO's, pledging to cut benefits for refugees and never to allow a repeat of 2015's wave of arrivals. The FPO came third in the election with 26% of the vote. Kurz and Stray were due to present their agreement at 4 p.m. 1500 GMT, on the Kallenberg, a hill overlooking the capital and famed as the site of the 1683 Battle of Vienna, which ended a siege of the city by Ottoman Turks. While there has been no specific mention of repelling that Muslim invasion, the symbolism is clear for two parties that have warned Muslim parallel societies are emerging in Austria. Of Austria's 8.7 million people, more than 500,000 are Muslim, mostly Turkish or of Turkish origin. There are few obvious signs of sectarian tension and the country has been spared major Islamist militant attacks like those that have struck Paris, Brussels and Berlin. Stray and Kurz oppose Turkish membership of the EU, a position that polls regularly show most Austrians agree with. The coalition deal ends more than a decade in opposition for the FPO, a party founded by former Nazis and once led by the late Georg Haider, who praised Hitler's employment policies and brought the party mainstream electoral success. More recently, anti-establishment parties have been winning over more voters in Europe, capitalizing on dissatisfaction with mainstream politicians' handling of the economy, security and immigration. while other far-right parties have gained ground this year, entering parliament in Germany and making France's presidential runoff. The FPO is going further by entering government and securing key ministries. Unlike France's National Front, the FPO has backed away from calling for a referendum on leaving the European Union, but Kurz has still secured a guarantee that there will be no Brexit-style referendum in Austria, a person familiar with the talks said. Both parties want to make it possible to call referendums by petition. Click here for other policies the OVP and FPO have agreed on during coalition talks. Both the OVP and FPO believe the EU should focus on fewer tasks, like securing its external borders, and hand more power back to member states. When the FPO last entered government in 2000, other EU countries imposed sanctions on Vienna in protest. There is unlikely to be a similar outcry this time, given the rise of anti-establishment parties across the continent. We want to reduce the burden on taxpayers. And above all, we want to ensure greater security in our country, including through the fight against illegal immigration, Kurz said on Friday. Writing by Francois Murphy, editing by Mark Heinrich. Our standards: the Thomson Reuters Trust Principles.